Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a magical forest filled with tall, whispering trees, bright, colorful flowers, and animals that lived together in peace. But this wasn't just any forest, it was a place where anything could happen. Talking animals, secret paths, and even tiny sparkles of magic floated through the air. In this enchanted forest, there lived a little fox named Fiona. Fiona was small, but she was brave and had the biggest heart in the whole forest. Her fur was the color of golden autumn leaves, and her bright, twinkling eyes sparkled with curiosity. One sunny morning, as Fiona was trotting through the woods, she saw her best friends gathered around the old oak tree. There was Benny the bear, a big, gentle giant who loved honey, and Lulu the rabbit, who was always hopping about, full of energy. But something seemed different today.
Fiona stopped and tilted her head. "What's going on?" she asked, her little nose twitching in concern. Benny the bear sighed and sat down with a loud thud. "There's a problem," he said sadly. "The great rainbow tree, which gives color to the forest, is losing its magic." Fiona gasped. The great rainbow tree was the most beautiful tree in the whole forest. Its branches shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow, and its leaves sparkled with magic. Without the tree, the forest would lose its bright colors and become dull and gray. Lulu the rabbit hopped around anxiously. "We need to help it," she squeaked, her long ears twitching. "But we don't know how." Fiona thought for a moment, then smiled. "We can do it together," she said bravely. "But we'll need to find the magic dewdrops that will restore the tree's colors. They're hidden deep in the forest, and it won't be easy." Benny, Lulu, and Fiona knew that the journey would be long, but they also knew that the forest needed them. So they packed their bags. Fiona carried a map, Lulu packed some carrots for snacks, and Benny brought his favorite jar of honey. And off they went. As the three friends ventured deeper into the forest, they came across a wide river. The water rushed past, making it impossible to swim across. Lulu's eyes widened. "How will we ever get to the other side?" she asked, hopping nervously from foot to foot. Fiona smiled and pointed to a big tree trunk lying near the riverbank. "We can use that as a bridge," she said confidently. With Fiona's quick thinking, Benny used his strong paws to push the tree trunk into the water, and soon enough, they had a bridge to cross. One by one, they carefully made their way to the other side. "See?" said Fiona with a grin. "When we work together, we can solve any problem." After crossing the river, the friends found themselves in a dark part of the forest, where the trees were tall and the sunlight barely touched the ground. But Fiona wasn't scared. She knew the forest well and led her friends safely through the shadows. Suddenly, they heard a soft sobbing sound. They stopped and looked around. Sitting on a rock, hidden in the shadows, was a tiny, frightened squirrel. Fiona padded up to the squirrel and asked gently, "What's wrong?" The squirrel sniffled and wiped her eyes. "I dropped my acorns and now I can't find them," she said sadly. Fiona looked back at Benny and Lulu, who both nodded. "We'll help you find them," she said. And together, the three friends searched the forest floor until they found the squirrel's acorns scattered under the leaves. The squirrel's eyes lit up, and she smiled. "Thank you," she said happily. "You're so kind. If you ever need help, just ask." With a wave, the squirrel scurried off, and Fiona, Benny, and Lulu continued their journey. Finally, after what felt like hours, the friends reached the heart of the forest. There, in a small clearing, stood the rainbow tree, its colors faded and dull. The leaves no longer shimmered, and the magic seemed to be slipping away. Fiona pulled out the map and pointed to a sparkling waterfall nearby. "The magic dewdrops are behind that waterfall," she said. "We just have to find a way to get to them." Benny, who was always full of good ideas, scratched his head. "I think we can climb around the rocks to reach the top," he said. Carefully, the three friends made their way to the top of the waterfall. And there, glimmering in the sunlight, were the magic dewdrops. Fiona filled a small jar with the dewdrops, and they hurried back to the rainbow tree. As Fiona sprinkled the magic dewdrops over the tree, a soft glow began to spread through the branches. The leaves shimmered, and the colors started to return: reds, blues, purples, and yellows, all glowing bright and beautiful. Lulu clapped her paws. "We did it!" she cried, hopping with joy. Benny gave Fiona a big bear hug. "You're the bravest fox in the whole forest," he said. And just like that, the forest came back to life, full of color, magic, and happiness. Fiona, Benny, and Lulu stood beneath the tree, watching as the forest animals gathered around to celebrate. Fiona smiled. "We saved the rainbow tree," she said, "but we did it together." From that day on, the animals of the forest knew that whenever there was a problem, they could count on Fiona and her friends to help. Because when you have friends by your side and a little bit of courage, there's nothing you can't do. And so, Fiona, Benny, and Lulu lived happily ever after, in their bright, colorful forest, where every adventure brought a new lesson in kindness, teamwork, and friendship. Like this video if you enjoyed the adventure, follow for more magical stories, and don't forget to subscribe to join Fiona, Benny, Lulu, and the rest of the forest friends on their next exciting journey.